In 356 BC, a boy is born in the kingdom of Macedon. His name is Alexander, son of King Philip II. From a young age, he dreams of greatness and glory. He listens closely to tales of heroes like Achilles. Macedon is a small, rugged kingdom in northern Greece, but young Alexander believes it's destined for something bigger. He watches his father's soldiers train in the courtyard below. Every clash of swords fills him with quiet excitement. Alexander wants more than just a kingdom. He wants a legacy, and soon, his education will shape exactly how. King Philip hires the philosopher Aristotle to tutor his son. Alexander studies science, medicine, poetry, and the art of war. He grows curious about distant lands and unknown cultures. One day, a wild, untamable horse is brought to the palace. No one can ride the powerful black stallion, Bucephalus. Alexander notices the horse fears its own shadow, nothing more. He calmly turns the horse toward the sun and mounts it. The crowd gasps as the once wild horse settles beneath him. His father watches proudly, sensing something special in his son. Bucephalus becomes Alexander's loyal companion for the years ahead. At just 18, Alexander leads troops into his first battle. His courage and tactics quickly earn him respect and fear. But in 336 BC, tragedy strikes the Macedonian court. King Philip is assassinated during a grand royal celebration. Alexander stands frozen, staring at his father's lifeless body. Grief and shock quickly turn into fierce determination. At just 20 years old, Alexander is crowned king. He kneels as the golden diadem is placed on his head. Rivals whisper that the young king won't last long. Alexander is about to prove every single one of them wrong. Word of Philip's death spreads fast across the Greek world. Several city-states sense weakness and plan to rebel. The city of Thebes rises up in open defiance. Alexander marches his army south with startling speed. He gives Thebes one last chance to surrender peacefully. The city refuses, certain that Alexander is still untested. Alexander's forces storm the walls in a brutal, swift assault. Thebes is destroyed, and the message spreads like wildfire. Other Greek cities quickly fall in line, terrified of resistance. With Greece secured, Alexander turns his eyes toward Asia. In 334 BC, Alexander leads his army across the sea. Around 40,000 soldiers march toward the Persian Empire. As he lands, Alexander throws a spear into Asian soil. He declares the land his by right of conquest. His generals worry. Persia is massive, wealthy, and powerful. Alexander simply smiles, unshaken by the odds ahead. He soon reaches the legendary city of Gordian. There, an ancient, impossibly tangled knot awaits any challenger. Legend says whoever unties it will rule all of Asia. Alexander draws his sword and simply slices it apart. Alexander's reputation grows as his army pushes deeper into Persia. King Darius III gathers a massive Persian force to stop him. The two armies finally meet near the town of Issus. Darius commands a force many times larger than Alexander's. Alexander studies the terrain carefully, searching for any weakness. He leads a bold cavalry charge straight toward Darius himself. Chaos erupts as Persian lines begin to break apart. Darius panics, abandoning his own chariot and fleeing the field. Alexander watches the retreating king with fierce, focused eyes. The Persian Empire, once untouchable, has felt real fear. Alexander turns south, marching his army toward Egypt. The Egyptians, tired of Persian rule, welcome him as a liberator. He is crowned pharaoh in a grand, golden ceremony. Alexander gazes out over the Egyptian coastline, deep in thought. He decides to build a new city along the shore. The city will bear his own name, Alexandria. He imagines it filled with scholars, sailors, and grand libraries. Workers begin laying the foundation stones almost immediately. Alexander smiles, proud of the legacy already taking shape. But Darius and the Persian heartland still remain. In 331 BC, Darius assembles his largest army yet. The two forces meet on the plains of Gaugamela. Persian numbers vastly outmatch Alexander's smaller, disciplined army. Alexander studies the battlefield calmly from a nearby hill. He notices gaps forming in the massive Persian lines. With precision, he leads his cavalry straight through the gap. The charge aims directly at Darius and his royal guard. Panic spreads through the Persian ranks once again. Darius flees the battlefield, abandoning his empire's fate. Alexander stands victorious over the ruins of Persian power. Alexander enters the great Persian capital of Babylon in triumph. Crowds gather, stunned by the young conqueror's arrival. He is welcomed as a new king of Asia. Alexander continues east, chasing the fleeing Darius relentlessly. Along the way, he learns Darius has been betrayed and killed. Alexander stands solemnly over the fallen king's body. Even in victory, he shows his rival quiet respect. With Persia fully conquered, most men would stop here, but Alexander's ambition still burns brighter than ever. He turns his army toward the unknown lands further east. Alexander's army pushes through deserts, mountains, and rivers. Years of marching begin to wear down his exhausted soldiers. In 326 BC, he reaches the edge of India. King Porus stands ready with a massive army and war elephants. The two forces clash violently at the Hydaspes River. Alexander's cavalry outmaneuvers the terrifying elephant charges. After a brutal fight, Porus is captured and brought before him. him. Asked how he wishes to be treated, Porus answers boldly, "Like a king," he says, and Alexander respects the answer. He returns Porus's kingdom, impressed by his courage. Alexander gazes eastward, eager to conquer even further, but his soldiers are exhausted, homesick, and deeply weary. Years of endless marching have drained their strength completely. His generals finally gather the courage to speak honestly. They tell him the army simply cannot go on. Alexander stands silently, staring toward the horizon he wanted. For the first time, his ambition meets its limit. Reluctantly, he agrees to turn the exhausted army back. The long journey home proves harsher than any battle. Disease, heat, and hunger take a heavy toll along the way. Alexander finally arrives in the city of Babylon once more. He begins planning new campaigns and even grander cities, but his own body has been pushed beyond its limits. A sudden fever strikes him in the summer of 323 BC. Alexander grows weaker with every passing, restless day. His generals gather anxiously around his bedside, waiting. Asked who should inherit his vast empire, he answers weakly, "To the strongest," he whispers, and then falls silent forever. Alexander dies at just 32 years old, his empire unfinished. Yet his name, his conquests, and his legend would outlive him for thousands of years.